Can I have some background information on BACT?
Sure. So in 2008, the program was started to help with a local event. So in Heightstown, at the Petty School, they have a lake where they do a triathlon every year. And so they had asked the Watershed Institute to test to make sure that the water was safe for the triathletes to swim in. So that kind of was the beginning of the BACT program. We started going out and sampling at Petty Lake every week during their practice sessions to make sure that it was safe for them. And then it just kind of expanded from there, like why don't we test the rest of the water that people are using during the summer? And so that's how it started.
Why is checking for bacteria important?
So the types of bacteria that we look for can impact human health. It can cause some skin rashes, it can cause some digestive issues, and it's really pretty common. So that's the main reason that we want to check the waters that people are using for recreation, so that we're making sure that it's safe for people and their pets and they're not getting sick.
And like the bacteria is found all over the world, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. What are the causes for all the algal blooms and the bacteria in the water?
Sure. So the E. coli that we look for is a fecal coliform, which means that it's found in feces, human feces as well as animal feces. So when you see lots of geese around ponds and lakes and all their poop, that's usually a pretty good indicator that there's going to be some E. coli in that water. So that's the E. coli that we're looking for. And then the other types of bacteria that we're looking for are called cyanobacteria, more commonly referred to as like a harmful algal bloom. It is a photosynthetic bacteria, but not technically an algae. And so those bacteria can produce toxins that can also affect human health, and can be a little bit more severe. So that's why we have started monitoring those as well.
Quick question.
Yes.
So, is ammonia found in there as well?
Yeah, ammonia is a type of nitrogen that can be found in the water. So in the gallery test that we do, where we're looking for total nitrogen, ammonia is one of the components that is measured in that.
Yeah, feels like we have a fish tank.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a ton of algae.
Yeah, you have to like check for you have the strips that you dip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what does the cyanobacteria feed on to grow?
Yeah,
Spread.
so like I said, they're a photosynthetic bacteria, so they need nutrients in the water and they need sunlight. And so some of the reasons that we have had increases in harmful algal blooms is because of increased runoff, which introduces nutrients into the water. So lawn fertilizers and things like that washing into the water will feed the bacteria. And then the increased sunlight, one from just global warming and increased temperatures, but also from cutting away kind of trees and plants and other things that protect the water from excessive sunlight. So when you add that sunlight and heat and then the nutrients as well, that's a recipe for some harmful algal blooms.
So there's more cyanobacteria and algal blooms in the water than like 10 years ago?
Yes, so the thing is, cyanobacteria are natural and they're a really important part of the ecosystem. It's when there's too much of them and when there's too much of specific kinds that can produce toxins, that's when there's an issue.
Okay. What was your most dangerous algal bloom or bacterial case that you can remember?
That is a very good question. I'm pretty new. I just started here in October. So, so I don't remember any really dangerous ones. But I will say that just this summer, there was kind of a new situation in the Millstone River where a harmful algal bloom was discovered. And so we've been monitoring that pretty closely this summer. And that green sample that I showed you earlier, that's from there.
Okay. What would you do, how would you act when there is a problem, like the bacteria and algae?
Yep, so we work closely with the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. So if we find a spot that looks like it might be having an issue with bacteria or with algae, we will let DEP know, and they usually will come out and do some more specific tests to test for like the actual toxin levels. And if they're found to be dangerous, then they will put out signage and restrictions on what you can do in that water body. So we'll let the state kind of handle that. And then the other thing that we do is, like I mentioned, the floating wetlands at Rosedale Lake. We're trying to, it's kind of an experiment to see if this works, but we're kind of installing plants that float in the water column and try to absorb some of those nutrients so that it's not as available for the bacteria.
Okay. How often do algal blooms happen, or how often are there severe cases of E. coli found?
So like I said earlier, they are happening more frequently, and once they occur within a water body, it's more likely to happen again. So right now, we've got a couple of lakes that we see algal blooms in them every year. So Rosedale Lake, the one that's right here, is one of those. That we do see them every year.
Okay.
What was the rest of the question?
How often do severe cases of E. coli happen?
Of E. coli. So E. coli cases tend to increase right after rain because it's washing stuff into the water. So we'll tend to see spikes of E. coli right after rainstorms. So if you're planning on going swimming, maybe don't do it like the day after, maybe 72 hours after rain.
Okay. If I wanted to research this topic myself, are there like any websites you would recommend?
Ooh, that's a very good question. Well, we do publish all of our data on our website. So you can go to thewatershed.org, and in the Stream Watch section, there's a page for the Bacterial Action Team, and you can see kind of all of the data from this summer. There's tons of resources out there. I can't think of any specific websites other than our own. Oh, but NJDEP does have a map of like harmful algal blooms throughout the state, so you can look that up on their website also.
All right, that's it.
All right.